What's going on, everyone? It's Alex here from Aleks Physio. Today we're going to be chatting a little bit about rib fractures and what you need to know about them. But before we do that, I need you to hit that like button, comment, subscribe for future videos. It really helps my channel grow and allows me to reach a wider audience. I have almost 250 videos on all things related to physio, including exercise prescription, injuries, pain, my reactions on various things and concepts and topics that are discussed in the fitness and wellness world. So rib fractures, before we talk about them, let's give a little anatomy introduction. We have 12 pairs of ribs located on each side of our thorax, abdominal area. We have 7 true ribs, which means that they attach to the sternum directly. And we have 3 false ribs, which attach to the costal cartilage directly above the last rib. And we have 2 floating ribs, which don't attach anywhere. So they originate on the vertebral column of the bones of your back. And they basically, their main function is to protect the vital organs, right? You have your heart, you have your lungs. The rib cage is designed to kind of protect that. How these rib fractures happen is from direct trauma, which is usually as a result of a fall from a height, but it can also happen from crush injuries as well. And the way that you figure out if you have a rib fracture is you can do an x-ray, but you also will do a CT if you're admitted to the emergency department. And in the CT, what they're looking at is how many rib fractures you have, but also are there any other issues or injuries to the vital organ. And the other thing to be mindful of is something called a flail chest. So flail chest is when you have 3 side-by-side rib fractures that are fractured in more than 2 places. And what happens with that is you get paradoxical breathing, where basically when you breathe in, your chest wall and your ribs expand as to give room for your lungs to expand. But when you're doing paradoxical breathing, because now your chest wall is unstable from this flail chest, when you breathe in, instead of your lungs and your rib cage expanding, it actually shrinks, and when you breathe out, it expands, or your ribs, you can see your ribs pop out. So this is a medical emergency, and this needs to be taken care of and monitored throughout. It's super important to know that when you have rib fractures, there's nothing you can do about them. You can't do surgery to repair ribs. They just heal on their own. You can repair some of the structures that are surrounding there in the vital organs if there are issues or if there is a bleed, but a lot of the times, if there's a rib fracture in isolation, it's just time that's going to help with the healing. But there are some things that you can do to minimize the complication that can come as a result of rib fractures. So what do I mean by that? When you fracture your ribs, it's going to hurt to breathe. We need to continue to breathe even though we're in a lot of pain. And we need to cough and huff, and we need to do all these things to maintain the mobility of our rib cage and also of our lungs. Because if we don't do that, then what can happen? We can get a mucus plug, we can get pneumonia, we can get a chest infection, because the lungs aren't doing what they're designed to do because of pain. So deep breathing exercises are super important. There's something called ACBT, or active cycle breathing technique, where you cycle between taking deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, and you add pauses within those breaths, and then after every few deep breaths, you add some huffing and some coughing. Coughing is unbearable, as you can do something like a huff. So think about fogging your glasses, right? What does that mean? You know, you're trying to generate more negative pressure by basically thinking of you fogging your glasses. So you take a deep breath in, and then take that forced exhalation out to try and get rid of any mucus. So once you progress past the huffing stage, and that becomes easier, and you want to try to give coughing a go, because that will generate more pressure than huffing alone, depending on how strong you're coughing, do something called splinted coughing. So splinted coughing is, you take a pillow and you squeeze the pillow against the rib fracture. So if I fractured the ribs that are a little bit higher, so 3, 4, 5 on my right side, I'm squeezing that pillow. So the moment that I cough, I squeeze that pillow tight towards me, and that acts as a splint. So that helps a little bit more with pain control to give me a bit more relief. So number one is deep breathing. Number two is mobility. You still have to stay active and mobile even with these rib fractures. Yeah, it's gonna hurt to get out of bed because you're generating intrathoracic pressure around that area when you're getting up from lying down on your back position. But it's super important that you do that, because as you're exercising and moving, you're helping to deliver oxygen and other nutrients to different parts of your body. You're allowing the appropriate gas exchanges to occur so that your lungs are properly ventilated with movement. So motion is lotion, mobility is key in the early stages of recovery, because your goal is to prevent a pneumonia or a chest infection from happening, but also to get rid of any phlegm or any mucus that's already in there that may have developed from you lying down in bed for the last little bit. Okay, and then the third thing is your positioning. So positioning is key. We have sitting and lying on your stomach are the best positions that you can be in when you have a rib fracture. And the worst position you can be in is lying on your back, because the problem with that is you have the effects of gravity working against you, where the airways have a tendency to collapse. The little air sacs of your lungs, called your alveoli, can collapse, and that can lead to that mucus plug. When you lie on your stomach, it helps to open up those airways, and it improves what's called the VQ ratio. And that's the ventilation perfusion ratio, which is basically the body's ability to transfer oxygen in exchange gases, exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide, oxygen going into the bloodstream, carbon dioxide leaving out of the bloodstream, and breathing that out. 3 things that you can do to optimize your recovery after rib fracture: deep breathing, mobility, such as walking, and then 3 is positioning. So lying on your stomach or sitting or standing, just being in different positions other than lying on your back is going to be super important to help with the recovery. Recovery times for rib fractures can be anywhere from 6 weeks to 3 months. It just depends on the status of the rib fracture and other factors that play a role in your healing. History of diabetes, osteoporosis, smoking, things like that play a role in the healing, but generally 6 weeks to 3 months. And as each day goes on, you generally tend to feel a little bit better just with time, but you have to keep active and do some of those exercises. 2 things that you should never do after a rib fracture is you don't want to tape that area. We used to think that if we compressed that area, if we wrapped it with some sort of tense ring, that would help from a pain control perspective. But the issue with that is it restricts your ability to take a deep breath because you've compressed that area. The second thing is just thinking that you need to rest and lie down in bed all day and it'll get better on its own. Sure, it will heal, but the issue with that is you're significantly decreasing your quality of life and running the risk of other issues, not even related to your respiratory system, like the lung infections and the pneumonias we chatted about, but blood clots, pressure sores, if you're not moving. So super important that you're moving, staying active. The other thing to be mindful of is when you are getting out of bed with rib fractures, it's easiest if you do a log roll. So if you bend both your knees, you roll onto your side, and then you push with your arms and swing your legs over all in one go. So you're moving your upper body and your lower body together as a unit. That really helps from a pain control perspective because you're limiting the amount of intra-abdominal pressure you're generating that's commonly associated with getting out of bed, because that's how you have to do it. You have to use a lot of your abdominal muscles and generate that pressure to get up, but by using a log roll, you help to decrease some of those pressures. Hopefully you learned a thing or two about rib fractures, how to manage them, what are some things to look for, and what are some exercises that you can do. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. Hope you found this informative and valuable. If so, please like, comment, and subscribe on my videos. It really helps my channel grow and allows me to reach more people around the world. Thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.